Hello, I am Coach Shaterial Starnes, financial literacy coach of the Starnes Group. And I am so excited because this week I am joining Stenell, the money therapist, on her podcast, No More Excuses, Wake Up. Listen, you gotta be there because we're gonna talk about financial literacy and we're gonna unpack not only personal finances, we're going to talk about business credit as well. Listen, we are dropping some gems and you do not want to miss this podcast. So, what do? I consider myself as a financial farmer. I help clients unpack or address root cause issues. Here's the deal. I can help you get out of debt. I can help you save. I can help you build generational wealth. But if we do not address those root cause issues, you're going to return to those same behaviors within 6 months to a year. So again, you need to be on this podcast. Stenell, thank you for having me. And hey, let's go out here and despite our fears, let's do it brave. Thank you.
Great. So I read about your story and
Yes.
it was interesting because you are now a financial coach. You are helping
Yes.
people and it all started off from your husband and your husband had a stroke.
Yes, he did. And when I tell you, Snell, I felt like my life had just been altered, just turned upside down. Because here's the deal: when he had the stroke, we went from a two-income household to one. We have four kids, a blended family,
Right.
three twins, and an infant. My son or our son had was his first birthday was the same day as my husband's stroke. So my son's birthday, my husband had the stroke on his birthday. But when I tell you it changed our lives, but here's the deal: life altering events are always going to happen. But
Hmm.
still, we weren't prepared. So, in spite of that, God spared my husband's life, and I'm extremely grateful.
Amen.
But it's
Amen.
always a lesson that can be learned that we can actually take lemons and make lemonade. So
Mm,
for me, it was like an aha moment. Like, I need to get my financial house in order because life happens all the time.
mm. I don't know where to start. I have so many questions for you.
Yes.
So, when you said that you didn't have things prepared, who
No,
when strokes happen, no one know a stroke is going to happen, right?
no.
No one knows that. So you weren't prepared. Your husband had a stroke. Was there any type of did he have illnesses beforehand?
Well, let me back up. What I mean by we weren't prepared from a financial standpoint,
Right, right.
he has a history of high blood pressure on both sides, his maternal and paternal side. So high blood pressure, strokes, diabetes, it was in their family. And to be honest with you, and I that's another platform or another podcast, but I'm very adamant about men taking care of themselves. And he
Ugh,
wasn't doing that. So
ugh.
that's what led up to the stroke, just not taking his medicine.
Wow, that is definitely another topic. That is
Yes.
another topic that is so serious. So, when you said you wasn't prepared, you wasn't financially prepared. A
Yes.
lot of us are not financially prepared. So tell me, come go back. Take me into that moment. Let us hear the moment. What happened?
So, and what happened? Okay, he had the stroke, and what happened is that he was in the hospital. So he was in ICU for like 3 days.
Oh wow.
Then he came out, and he was in a regular room for about a week. Then he had to go to therapy. So he had to learn how to walk. He had to learn how to talk. All these things over again. I used to have to bathe him. So he was in therapy for at a hospital of phenomenal program, Skyline Medical Center here in Nashville, Tennessee. And because he had the therapy right after, it made a world of difference in his recovery. So he had to go to occupational therapist, physical therapist. But still, when I tell you the hospital bills were outrageous,
Hmm.
over hundreds of thousands of dollars because of all the care that he needed. Then he needed someone to come home and help because again, he couldn't walk.
Oh
He
my
couldn't speak.
gosh. Wow.
So what I'm saying is that life altering events happen. Think about your life and your
Right.
listeners. So like over the last 7 years and everything that has happened,
Right.
a job loss, someone gets sick, having a child, graduation, all of these things impact our lives. So again, the stroke may probably was inevitable, but how could we have planned differently from a financial standpoint? So I'm going to tell you, I had to literally call bill collectors and say, hey, we've had an unforeseen circumstance. My husband had a stroke. Work with me. I
Mm,
was paying some bill collectors $5 just to, because I had to do what I had to do because my family was the priority.
right, right.
So if your listeners don't get anything else, start saving. I
Wow.
don't care if it's $5, $10 or whatever. Start somewhere because you're forming a habit.
Go ahead. Uh,
And
te-
I'm not even gonna get. I can even go back a little further. And here's the deal, Stenell. What happens and what I found is this: I had to actually go back to my childhood because a lot of us, the way we spend and how we connect to money stems from our childhood and childhood
yes,
trauma. ACEs, I know you know it,
yes,
adverse childhood experiences. So I had to do some deep digging, go some
yes,
places that was not comfortable, but I
yes.
had to do it because I am leaving behind a legacy for my children's children. I had to break those curses.
Hmm. So this is what sparked you to say, hey, I am not only going to help myself, but I want to help other people because things do happen. So how
Absolutely.
did you what are some of the things walk us through some of the things that you actually did to just change that dynamic of the struggle that you were facing?
So in that situation, first of all, I thought I was going to lose my mind, but it was nothing but God.
I know.
Then
Ah,
because wait, I'm not even done. We had a flood that year. So and then I promise you I'm gonna bring it home. We had a flood that year. So I lost my vehicle in a flood 3 weeks prior. My husband had a stroke 3 weeks later, and my mother-in-law had a aneurysm 6 months later. So all of
his
that happened.
mother?
His mother 6 months later.
Oh my
In
goodness.
one less than a year because
Wow.
it happened in May. From May to December, all that happened in
A
1 year.
flood, you lost your vehicle in a flood, your husband had a
Yes.
stroke, and his mother had an aneurysm, all
And
from
died.
May to December,
Correct. May to November. Yes.
May to November.
Yes. So all of that happened. So how did I bounce back? What I did is that, again, first I called bill collectors and I let them know this is what happened. Okay. I called my husband. We have a blended family. So I had to call child support and let them know what happened because you can get in a lot of trouble when you get behind on your child support.
Sure can.
So I
Hmm.
called them, I put that in place, and then I started
So what? So
researching.
so
I'm
tell
sorry.
me about the child support. When you called the child support, you said something happened, and what did they stop his
What they did is that
enforcements?
they stopped it. What they did is that they put a pause on things. He still was responsible for it, but they just put it on the back end. But I had to continue to send them paperwork in terms of what was going on, that he was in a hospital, that he couldn't talk, he couldn't work. Because here's the deal, just because you have an illness, you need to update them then, but you need to keep them up to date or they will come after you.
Oh my gosh, I know you was losing your mind.
Yes,
That's a lot of phone
yes.
calls.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of phone calls. But I say this to say is that I can walk people through this, but more than anything, help prevent them from a financial standpoint. So back to what
Prevention.
I was, yes. So what
Prevention.
did is this: I paid. I called bill collectors, and many may not know that if you are facing an unforeseen circumstance, your creditors can work with you and put payments on the back end of the loan, like your
Hmm.
credit cards, your mortgage, and all these different things, and report it to the credit bureaus as on time payments. That's something that I did not know. So I called and I did that. That was the first thing that I did.
So the first thing you did was you called the creditors. You told them the situation, exactly what was going on.
Yes.
And then they took that and they put it to the back of
Yes.
the loan. They put it to the
Correct.
back of the loan.
Absolutely.
Was it 1 month, 2 months that they put to the back of the loan?
It varied. Most of them gave me 2 to 3 months
Okay.
to make payments, similar to what's happening with the mortgages and the student
Yes,
loans.
I
Everything
was
that's
going to say
happening during the pandemic, it's the same concept.
with the credit
What was
card.
happening with the credit cards, and we had a vehicle loan, we had credit cards. So you can do this with your mortgage, credit cards, and automobile loans.
Wow. Now y'all hear that, people? Because I'm so adamant when it comes to credit cards. That is definitely something that I did not know. I know about the mortgage. I definitely know about the vehicle because when I had a
Yes.
vehicle, I was always trying to put something in the back.
Yes.
Always something. So wow, that's good to know. Okay, so you did that.
I did that. And then what I did is went through our finances of what we did have, because I was still working, mind you. And I went through and I just started cutting back, like all the frivolous spending, because we spend so much money eating out, our children and all these extracurricular activities. Don't get me started now. And what I had to do something different. And then I talked to my children's mother and I said, this is what's going on. Just work with us. Because I have a great relationship with my children's mother, even now.
That is good. So when I'm looking down, I'm writing things that's sticking out to me. And one of the
Yes.
things that you said was you said prevention from a financial disaster. The other
Mm,
things you said cutting back from frivolous spending. So important because I
yes.
was coaching a couple yesterday and in my 8-week coaching and I said, send me your bank statements. I found $800.
Yes. And people are always surprised when I'm able to do that. I said, I can look at your online statements or your bank statements and I can tell you where your priorities lie. I can tell you where your priorities lie. I'm always able to find money, Stenell.
And it's always
Always.
food.